Jeff and Jeremy here online at KZOZ.com. The SLO Film Festival going. So happy that they're going to continue with it, even though we have to do it virtual. Over 100 films this year that you can screen right in the comfort of your own home. You can still do all the big parties and things like that virtually, like via Zoom. We've been chatting with our friend Brittany here for a few minutes before we've gone on because we've known each other a very, very long time. When we first moved here, she invited us over to her house for a party. I don't think it was for us, but that's, back in the day, the radio station, Brittany, everybody used to hang out together. Now no one hangs out. And it's not because
hangs out?
Nobody really hangs out together anymore. And we all hung out we were a tight group.
I blame it on coronavirus.
5 radio stations in the building. We all would get together. And I just remember going over to your house and walking into your living room, and you had this little place and really cute little cottage in Los Osos, and walking in, there was a pool right in the middle of the room, and I thought, maybe that's for support because it was an older building. And then you jumped on it, and I'm like, it's a stripper pole.
Right.
Fitness.
That was a thing.
Fitness purposes, right? For fitness purposes.
Yeah, I don't think
absolutely fitness purposes only, of course.
Right, and probably double the support in a little cottage in Los Osos. I mean, you got sand.
Integrity of. Yeah,
everything. Anything you could do to your dwellings in Los Osos because it's on a sand dune would probably be helpful for support.
And of course, you are the official
included.
photographer of the California Mid-State Fair. I mean, you do so many things, but I mean, and that's kind of what I'm getting at. You're so good at doing so many different things, and it seems like everything you do, it turns into something. I try to start a lot of things, and I just don't have the willpower or discipline to see them through.
Have you ever heard of the Festival of Convenience, Brittany?
Have I heard of what?
The Festival of Convenience.
The Festival of Convenience.
Yeah.
Probably not. No. It's my brainchild. And what it is, it's a drive-through festival. So instead of having to park your car, get out and walk around, you drive through a parking lot, and all the vendors are set up in a big giant circle, and they hand you samples of things to eat and drink as you go through. And then if you want to judge something, you can judge it at the end. And it's very convenient because you could have a festival of convenience on your way to work, on your way home, during your lunch break, because you never have to get out of your car.
Now, Jeremy's argument is that he couldn't pull it off because of the pandemic, but I say the pandemic's the best time to do it because...
Well, that's the time.
Yeah, because then, we all had to drive through everything anyways.
Yeah, the CDC sent me a letter. It was I can't get into it.
Such a horse crap excuse.
Dr. Fauci said, don't listen, I'll Fauci your ass. Don't do it. So, we're working on it, but, it'll happen in the future.
This is 2 years in the making, by the way.
But everything you seem to do, whether you're being an artist, a photographer, a radio personality, you...
My point is,
photographer.
Jeremy could use some consultation on closing the deal.
Farmer.
Closing it out.
Follow through.
The follow through. Now, you have been following through on this movie for a very long time. How long have you been working on it?
It has been a film project for 5 years, and it had a 2-year warm-up as a photo project.
Okay. Is that when you wrote it? Is that when you rode across the country on a bike to raise money to do this? Or no, that was actually for another cause.
That was a separate. Yeah, that was also for water. That was my first, big effort as a quote-unquote water activist, was to do something crazy. And the crazy thing I decided to do was hop on a bicycle and pedal it with my own 2 legs all the way across the United States of America. And we raised a bunch of money for a water charity working in international water access, doing that. And I ended up with some really nice legs, which is a bonus.
Is that where the idea for this film came along your journey?
No, but it's all connected. So, the work around water first, I guess the realities of what a lack of access to water looks like in a person's life, that all hit me when I was traveling internationally with Semester at Sea. And that's what inspired the bike trip. And then I continued to be plugged into issues of water access and water scarcity. And then living here in California in 2014, the drought was gnarly.
Oh, yeah.
And, we have and we will continue to go through these extreme cycles of drought and wet, but they'll get more extreme. And so that's when it clicked for me that starting another project, using my skills as a photographer to try and, highlight what was going on with because all of our lakes were gone. They were empty.
Hey, trust me, as somebody who has a boat, who bought a boat and goes fishing, there was a time, a year and a half, I could not even put my boat in the water because the water was so low. So, I mean, I think a lot of people feel this in different ways, whether you're a climate change person, whether you are a gardener, whether you like to go to the lakes. And there's got to be some better ideas on how to fix or adjust to this problem that we have. And we'll get to that coming up. But real quick, let's talk about the movie a little bit. Where There Once Was Water. How long is it? How long is it? And what are some of the points that it hits?
It is 73 minutes long, so an hour and change, and it's a hopeful film. It is a documentary. The story is centered here on California and the Southwest, and I basically traveled the state looking for solutions to the water crisis we face, and I found solutions in agriculture, in ecosystem restoration, in listening to the voices of indigenous peoples who have always been here, and also in technology, so like large-scale water recycling facilities and groundwater cleanup sites, and bounced around and tried to talk to a really diverse array of folks about, what's working already and how can we scale it up.
It's interesting that we're talking to you today because this has been in my mind. I couldn't shake it. I was driving back from Fresno the other day. You know how they have those, they park trailers that you would see on the back of a big rig, and then they put political messages on there, and it's always for decades it has always been the need for damming the area and things like that. And I saw one that said, and I don't know, maybe you can lend some credibility to this, that 78% of the water that is manufactured by the Sierras and the natural water shed of the Central Valley gets dumped out into the ocean. Did you find that to be true when making your movie?
I find that the billboards we see in the Central Valley have a very specific purpose, a lot of money, and power behind them. And so you don't necessarily want to trust all those messages that you see. That number is not correct in the research that I have found.
Okay. Would you say from what you found is that it's inflated?
Yeah. So 70% of the fresh water on our planet globally goes towards growing our food. And that's not just here in California. That's a global average. 70 to 80% of the fresh water on this planet goes towards growing our food.
So when we were having, you mentioned the drought of 2014, and Jeremy and I would always have this discussion because I think it was shortly after, maybe 2017, 2016, we got some storms and we replenished our supplies and things like that. And we were talking about looking outside and seeing water just running down the street and knowing that it's going to a creek. And we're like, how come we're not,
capturing
out there with buckets and storing it in ponds somewhere?
Jeff took what did you take, your yard waste container?
No, I used to take my laundry detergent. So when the spin cycle spits out, it would spit out into a 55-gallon garbage can. And then I would use that to water my orchard.
Yeah, and then when it rained, you would catch rain off your gutters into that same can, right?
Well, it was just conveniently underneath the gutters. But I had a surplus of water after laundry detergent. After
our homes aren't designed to catch water. Actually, we got to get to a break. But when we come back, I want to talk about more things that we can do. And I have a solution. I think we have a solution right here. We're not doing it,
and we will talk about the movie. I promise.
And we're going to talk more about the movie too because that's very important. We know it's 73 minutes right now long, and it's on Sunday of the film festival. It's going to close it out for the final day, Where There Once Was Water. And when you buy the pass for $15, you have the whole day to watch it. And it's a part of some closing ceremonies and other things. So stick around. Brittany App, movie producer. Is that director, producer?
Yeah.
Is that your title? Okay.
Both of those things.
See, our goal here, Brittany, is to get the runtime of this interview to be just as long as the runtime of your movie.
When we only have 80.
Nice.
I'm sorry. 60 more minutes.
Oh, look at that.
All right, we'll be right back. Jeff and Jeremy here with Brittany App, movie producer extraordinaire, Where There Once Was Water, the movie. This has been in the works for so long, and you've come in, you've talked about it. There's been fundraisers, there's been screenings. The fact that it's done is got to be very exciting. Have you seen it on a big screen yet?
I did my own tiny version of that by projecting it onto the wall of my house. Does that count?
Yeah, it does.
I don't know. Yes, it does. But of course, when you see it
screen
in a theater, and because of COVID, we can't right now. But how excited are you going to be to see it, downtown at one of the cinemas or something like that? I'm sure you're very excited to get it there.
Oh, it'll be amazing. It'll be amazing. And I have to just pretend all of that is happening in my mind, right? Because releasing this it's in a virtual setting is very different. And I know there are benefits to it, but of course we're all missing, being together and having a big party at the Fremont for this. So here we are with a plague on the land. We do what we can.
Is there any part of you that is like, oh, maybe I should not have released it now and waited just maybe 3 or 4 more months?
No.
Okay.
No part of me.
Okay.
No, it's time. It's time. Yeah, this project has been going for so long, and I, naively thought I'd be done with it in 2017, and I wasn't. I wasn't even close. And so, or 2018, I forget what my first target date was. It was a long time ago. So it's time now. And I think because we are in this strange, virtual, liminal space, it's a good time for this hopeful message to come out to the world. So,
Brittany App joins us. Where There Once Was Water is the movie. It's playing Sunday of the film festival. And, water is such a big deal. I never even thought about it. Where Jeff and I are from the Northwest. It rains all the time. It's so green. There's so much water. It's coming out of our ears. It's everywhere. I moved here in 2006. It's raining like crazy that year. And then every year after that, the rain started going away. And then we had a 7-year drought and the lakes went down. We couldn't even launch boats. It was just terrible. And you look at this thing, and I remember talking on the show and up to people in Paso, they had to literally walk away from their ranch, their home, everything, because their well went dry. And I went, oh my God, this is when it really sets, and you're like, wow, this could happen to anybody. And to think you've sunk your whole life savings into something and it's worth nothing now because there's no water there. This can't be happening in 16, 17. Now we're in 2021. We know that climate changes, it's up and down and all this stuff, but climate change is a real thing. And this movie comes out, and you've talked to a lot of people about how to probably manage the water that we have or that we can have in the future. And my question to you is, and you take this with, how you want to take it, but we have a nuclear plant that desalinates, 80 million gallons a day, and they dump it all pretty much back into the ocean. They use so much for the reactors to cool them, and everything else gets dumped. And they had a plan at some point to, it was going to be a couple $1 million to put in a pipe system to pipe this water to Lopez and some other reservoirs and, to be able to desalinate ocean water. Why aren't we doing that from what the people you've talked to? We have this ocean here. The oceans are rising. We could desalinate water. We have plants all up and down the coast. But for some reason, we're not doing that. Is that because the problem isn't as urgent as we think it is right now?
The problem is absolutely urgent. And from what I have found in research around that specifically is that oftentimes it is cost prohibitive to desalinate enough water to serve a population. So there's a big, new, shiny desal plant down in the Carlsbad area. And, it's hugely expensive to run, and it provides, I don't know what the fraction is, but it's, 1/8 of the city's need for fresh water. because it's so energy intensive, it is very expensive to operate. And so there are other solutions that are not quite so involved, when it comes to infrastructure, cost, and just investment in that kind of a project. And so, like, one of the really simple ones I found is we have all these grasslands, and we have farmers doing grass-fed livestock, and just by managing the herd in a holistic way, where you're focusing on the health of the soil and the health of the grass, you can actually restore the water cycle, refill the aquifers, grow the soil, have cover crops on the ground year-round, and raise a bunch of delicious grass-fed meat all at the same time. So that's working with what's already here, and we don't have to spend millions and millions of dollars to build a thing. We just learn how to manage the livestock differently, and can have an equal benefit. If we can hold the water that falls on the land, then we don't have to add water to the land. And so by using less, we create more abundance, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does. And that's, I think that goes back to that whole question Jeremy and I had, is how do we better trap the water?
What are some solutions?
Is there something you have, like a solution that you have found in making this movie that would be easy to implement that is being overlooked?
Yeah, well, there's so many. That's what's exciting, is the film is full of solutions. And another important piece is that it looks different for everyone, right? So if you're in a city and rain falls on your roof and you're growing a little garden on your patio, well, then capture that rain and use it to water your patio plants. That's great. And if you live, if you live near a river and there's an active beaver family in that river, then learn how you can get involved to support that beaver family, because beaver are absolutely watershed heroes, and we need more of them, and we need them on all the rivers and all the streams. And so if you're into wildlife, that's a way to get involved and to really help to start heal our water cycles and our watersheds.
Yeah, they do all the hard work for us, right?
They do so much amazing hard work, and they do it for free. It's like they were just born to do it. And we have local beavers in Atascadero on the Salinas River. So there's a local group called the San Luis Obispo Beaver Brigade that just started up. So that's one way to help the waters, is to get involved with a group that's doing beaver restoration.
Getting a bad assignment as a beaver. Okay, you're assigned to the Salinas River.
Nobody can take.
Oh my gosh!
Nobody takes a beaver serious.
So happy. It's amazing.
Are they really?
It is amazing. Oh, it is amazing what they have done. The area where this beaver family lives on the Salinas River is lush and green, and it's just incredible. It doesn't look like anything that surrounds it.
Do you feature the beavers?
No, the SLO Beaver Brigade is not in the movie, but I do highlight beavers.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so
it's good to highlight a beaver.
I teamed up with the SLO Beaver Brigade since the completion of the movie, but I definitely feature, the benefits of having beaver in streams. I talked to a woman, and she'll actually be on my panel at the SLO Film Fest, Kate Lundquist. She's from the Occidental Arts and Ecology Center up in Sonoma County, and she works on a campaign called Bring Back the Beaver. And so they're working to restore beaver in watersheds all over the country. Just one
fascinating part of this film, I'm sure. 73 minutes where there once was water. And Brittany, you said it's positive. It's not negative. We're not just like, look at all this desolate land. I'm sure there's some of that. But, I mean, it's really a positive outlook, right? And things that we can look forward to, and how we can maybe turn this around a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, we live with climate extremes here in California, and it will all just get more extreme, and so we have to have a toolkit, going forward for how to best inhabit this place, and everything's connected, right? So we want to take care of our lakes and our rivers and our groundwater and our soil, and it's all connected. And I tried to make a story that make a film that empowers people instead of brings the people down.
And, of course, you can go to the slowfilmfest.org, link up at kzoz.com. This is on Sunday. You can link it for your tickets there. But if people want to find out more about your project, because they're passionate about water as well, what's another good way to find out more about this film?
Yeah, I have a website, wheretherewaswater.com. I keep it quite updated. There's a whole resource page there where I link to all of the organizations that are featured in the film, so that's a great way to get involved if one of those groups really speaks to you. And I'm on Instagram at Brittany App, and I share, bits about the film and also bits about my crazy life out here on the Carrizo with my cute alpacas and such.
I enjoy following
those are
it.
the best ways.
And your dogs and your alpacas and everything going on out there in the middle of nowhere. All right, Brittany, that's APP, by the way. Great to talk to you, and I'm so happy for you. I know Jeff is too, that you finally got this done, and it's out there, and I can't wait to see it. So,
thank you so much.
All right. Best of luck. We'll talk soon when we can hug again. All right.
Oh, I love it.
All right.
Yes, please.
Bye. There goes Brittany App. Don't forget SLO Film Fest. You can link up at KZOZ.com.
Subscribe to the Jeff and Jeremy podcast now on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, and YouTube. It's your Central Coast commute-friendly podcast.